Hey everybody, as usual, it's me, Fat Man from the Holler. And as always, if you like my videos, hit like and subscribe. Ring that bell for future upcoming content. Today's video is based upon the massive summer squash I had that I posted multiple videos over the summer about. There's the spiralizer for turning it into noodles, and you can see the shapes and everything on, as I've already showed you guys in another video. Here is some corn. The corn didn't turn out much for human edible consumption, but it's going to be great for my chickens. And since I rebuilt my flock, hopefully that will help push them over the top because they're getting around the mark to start laying eggs. And I figured I'd give you guys a brief tour of how the summer squashes turned out. They're quite big. I know several people said they had problems growing summer squashes. What I did is something a little different. So I was initially wanting to do what is called the Three Sisters. And the Three Sisters is something that you'll see in a lot of homesteaders, off the grid, and like shit hits the fan type situations, and even backwards home. And there's a lot of magazines and information out there if you truly seek it or desire it. I was lucky enough to have family here in the United States for a very long time, and I've been doing a little genealogy. Some of my family came from Iceland, and I successfully made it back to 1100, the year 1100, so that's kind of fun. I haven't really done a whole lot about genealogy because I'm not sure who out there would be interested in it. And I know sometimes when you're going by an online information resource, sometimes it can be misinformation or improperly documented. But anyway, what the moral of that story is I've had my grandparents and they've taught me how to do a lot of old time things. So my grandmother, she always kept her seeds every year, and after she passed away, my grandma had boxes and boxes of flowers and hollyhocks and a lot of stuff that I tried to grow. It really didn't grow very well. It's not because the seeds wasn't good, because some of it did grow. Then again, some of it didn't grow because it's my lack of horticulture, which is the study of flowers, that I didn't know at the time. So I try to reach people in a level of what I would like to learn. And what then, as I was speaking to the Three Sisters of ancient time, let me get back to that one and talking about a little family history of how I acquired a lot of knowledge of doing this. But the Three Sisters consecutively is what happens is you plant corn. When you plant corn, let it get around 4 to 6 inches tall. Then when corn gets about 4 to 6 inches tall, then you can bring in your pole climbing beans, whatever variety you want, and you use the summer squash for ground cover. You've seen in the videos, the corn got really tall. The squash was great ground cover. It worked really well for keeping the weeds away. And the beans I didn't really get it set up in time because the weather was very erratic. And I do have some health ailments time to time that does limit me to a certain aspect. But I try to create great content that is informational, and it can be used in survival things in future generations. And even if there's no YouTube in the future and was ever to have a solar EMP where the power went out, I want to empower people to be able to have food security and the knowledge to survive. And you look at the corn, not all the corn's completely bad. Like this piece right here is not too bad if it was blanched. Some of this stuff, not so good. But even the corn is not so good. It does have a purpose. It can be chicken food. I got a dehusker, which I'm going to show in a video. And I'm actually charging my camera recorder batteries right now so I can show you guys. And some of this corn, you can make it into seeds, chicken food. And you can also, depending on the size of the corn cob stalk and the corn development, you could probably make corn cob pipes, chicken food, have some seeds for next year. And this piece is actually a really good piece because you can feel it where it's not too hard. Some of the other stuff is a little crazy. And the trick to when you have corn and you want to get the bugs out of it, it's an old term. It's called blanching. And anybody that cans or does any of that type of stuff will know that. And those who don't, what blanching initially does, if there's any bugs in here, and you can see spots ate, some of it's probably due to bugs and different things. When you blanch it, it kills the bugs and makes them come out of it. When you blanch it, it kills all parasites and everything. And then you sift it out. Then from there, you can initially freeze it and go from there. So that's pretty simple in itself. These guys, since they're so big, it's going to be very difficult to fit that inside the spiralizer. So I believe what I'm going to do is cut it right here to make it shorter. So, and then quarter it out to make it in size to fit. And then I'll make noodles. And I don't really have a lot of experience in this per se. So, I mean, if it was blanched, it could be cooked immediately or stored for future possibilities of cooking with. The other thing is I believe salt could be added to it with my dehydrator, which I've spoke of. And the dehydrator is right there. My great aunt had. My cousin bought for my great aunt, which she never used it, so it's brand new, so that's okay. So I have quite a bit of old things and old ingenuity, family history of understanding how to create things. So I want to wrap this up, but this is just the outcome of 2023. And I also had a few cucumbers. Cucumbers wasn't doing so hot. And, green beans. I potentially got a couple bowls. And you've seen in other videos, I've had some. I'm collecting my morning glory seeds and marigold seeds. Because marigolds are great for keeping pests and different things away from your plants. So I try to do it realistically without adding pesticides and herbicides and that type stuff. Plus, I'm not a big farmer, so it doesn't matter. Because that type stuff, the chemicals, is more productive in a big farm because it helps put nitrogen in the ground. Basically, the nitrogen of like anhydrous ammonia, and everybody's heard of it in a bad context, but what it does, puts nitrogen into the ground. What that does is enriches the soil and gives it root structure and gives it strength. And initially, it burns up the grass that tries to grow around it. So that's good. But not for me, because I rather use nature's ability to grow a garden, which is I utilize the ants and I make compost to feed the grub worms and night crawlers, and I let the ladybugs go and the spiders. The only thing I'm really not friendly with is the groundhogs, because they will eat this stuff, and moles, that type of varmint pest. So I initially got the corn up pretty fast because I know I should have harvested a little sooner on some of it, and I'd have probably had edible corn, but the sole purpose was to initially make chicken food. But I'm going to wrap this up, and I want to get on to charging these batteries so I can show everybody how to quarter this stuff out. And I have a dehusker, which is something old. I have one from 1856 that was given to me as a friend of mine sold his house and had nowhere to take it, so I took that. And what that dehusker was for is it was actually bolted on a post in a barn for dehusking corn. And I have a smaller one that I purchased off Amazon. They're like roughly $50-$60 or so, or even less. You can probably get one at a farm sale, because I do love antique tools. And I keep saying it in the video, but I always love to be informative and give you guys the best stuff. But I'll provide more links. And in the future, I might get into the business of selling some good seeds. And I know it's kind of a stickler, where sometimes people will be mad when the stuff doesn't grow. But what I'll do is we'll figure it out as I go through this thing. I'm not really professional. I just like to help the world. And I'm going to wrap it up now. Sorry for keep going on and on. But anyway, much love as always, and I hope everybody has a great weekend as we go into fall. Try to stay warm. Have you some hot cocoa and some chili or soup or whatever you choose to enjoy. And that is all.